was going to say I would take notes, but my computer, it's dead. It hasn't gone through the window yet, but I wouldn't be able to type them up. So
I'm, this is not my week.
I can do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Martha.
Start with, I was going to send this around anyhow as far as like volunteers for the rest of the, yeah. And then I was just going to,
You want to take notes on the agenda that I printed out and make it easy for you? Would that make it easier? Okay. Go ahead. When do you want to do it?
No, you go.
I don't want to do anything. That's the thing. There you go.
did I even print out the agenda? My printer, it's too much of a pain to print stuff.
I bought a printer because I had to. And when I got it home, I found out it was completely wireless.
Oh, that's what I need,
like,
wireless, yeah.
Once you get it hooked up, it's not bad.
But that assumes you have internet.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, no.
I forgot you need a phone, right? Well, I have an uplink, but that means I have to turn the stinker on every time I want it. You know, it's not, I just as soon have I have a plug-in one. I didn't know that didn't always come as an option. Then again, I was so shell-shocked that week, I didn't know much anyway.
How are you? Okay, we're good. We're good?
Haven't run out of things to do yet.
Great, thanks, Adam.
Yeah. In a hot summer.
Not August.
No,
No, August.
no.
Until recently. September's hot.
Yeah, finally. All right, well, thanks everybody for coming and welcome to our September ECC meeting. We've missed a couple. We didn't really miss a couple. We canceled a couple in the summer because there really wasn't a lot going on. I know everybody's busy, so we canceled them. The first thing I was going to do was talk about the recordings. Well, draft meeting minutes. There were really no draft meeting minutes, and I think all the ones from April, May are on the website are final, as far as I could tell. So there's no draft meeting minutes to review. Martha graciously volunteered to do the recording for this month, and we'll pass around the list for a recording secretary for future months. That's I think proven to be real helpful. That way, you know, either Kathy or I are running the meeting. It's easier than trying to take notes and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's been really helpful. Updates. I don't really have any specific updates. Everything that I want to talk about is on the agenda. Not that I can think of anyhow. I don't know, Kathy, do you have any updates? Okay. So the first thing that's on the agenda, I put under new business. It's really semi-new, semi-old. It's a Sweet Road Tier 3 solar project by Pivot. So Pivot, I don't know if anybody's looked at the website or not, but Pivot's resubmitted their I don't know if it's the application or, but basically the design documents, and they've moved things around a little bit and stuff like that. I believe it's still with the planning board. I think it was supposed to be in the August session, but it didn't make it to the August planning board meeting. Now I think it's going to be, my guess would be September, I'm not positive. But we are going to get it most likely at some point to review again. So I guess what I would suggest is everybody take a look at what's on the website, take a look at what they've done. Probably a lot of our comments from before, you know, we could take a look at those and see if there's any changes we need to make. But you know, we talked about the vegetation, the trees and stuff like that. So I believe they moved things to the west side, one of the panels, and they shifted things down the hill a little bit so that it's not as visible. But take a look at it, and then when we do get asked to take a look at it, we'll be able to right in and jump on it. Mm-hmm. So I say that's new, but it's not really totally new. The Frank Long Road Solar Project. I think we've submitted I know we submitted comments previously on that, and I think we had a text going around saying that, you know, everything that was submitted was good and whatever. I believe there was no public hearing scheduled, so the project is not going to go forward.
The town did not. I was at the meeting where they did not recommend for a public budget. You weren't. They did not recommend for a public hearing, which was disappointing because the planning board had pushed it forward to, you know, we'd all said go.
Yeah. You
know, and then the amount of silence from the planning board was. They wouldn't even comment, discuss it, whatever. It was just like, ain't happening. It was discouraging for any future solar project in this town.
Well, yeah.
I was disappointed.
Solar's gonna be tough in this town. Well, anyhow, that one's no longer on our list. So we're basically did everything we need to do on that. I just wanted to close the loop, basically put on the agenda one more time, close the loop. Basically, it's done. I won't be moving forward. So now we get into a couple of new things that Renee had asked us to look at a while ago, and we actually talked about these. I put them in a continuing business because we talked about them back in the spring, and you know, everybody's pretty busy in the summer, so we said let's kind of hold off on these until the fall. Those fall. So here we are, and we're all still here, so we didn't get out of it. The first one, I didn't go in any order, but the first one was, you know, she said it was going along with the solar theme. You know, it's tough to get solar approved here, as we can see that there's a lot of controversy for whatever reasons, and that's not really for our committee to discuss. But one of the things that we could take a look at is there some place in Pompey where it would be acceptable? And that's based on things like geography, topography, view shed, population, you know, that type of thing. So we talked about that in the spring. And I guess if anybody has memories that kind of refresh ourselves, I think we talked about maybe using GIS to create some layers of different things, you know, maybe population centers, slopes, because you can't be on too steep of slopes. I don't remember what the exact stuff.
So I emailed the GIS professor at ESF to see if he would want to include it as a project for his GIS class students to take on, and they would know how to take that over to create a good report to basically make a map that says these are the, you know, ideal locations, these are mediocre locations, these are, you know, like non-negotiable locations. Just to be totally transparent about it, I emailed about 2 weeks ago, which was right before the semester started. Not a great time to be adding things to the curriculum. So it's not something they'll be doing this semester, but they might be able to in the spring semester. So we won't be getting a report from them terribly soon, but as a stopgap, I pulled them up here, and I know we won't be able to share it on a live. But the DEC has some more generic types of mappers that we can start to take a look at. Again, depending on what time frame, I guess, the supervisor wants to see things. It's just really hard to do without a mouse because
I got faith in you.
left clicking. So I'm not going to like run through a whole example, but this first website, and I'll email them to you guys. You can on the side there select all the parameters within a certain area you designate on the map for natural water features. So types of stream designation, types of soil that are accounted for, any like potentially endangered species, plants or animals on there. And you can set all of those criteria in a given boundary, and it'll list out where they are, where they aren't, or so this first site is just for natural.
I am having trouble reading
There's nothing on the map right now.
No, I meant reading the address.
Oh, the light blue is Lake Ontario.
Well,
You've got half a New
yeah,
York.
I know that.
All right.
No, I'm just trying to get the website
I
address.
will email these all to you guys.
Thank
so you
you.
can just click links instead of trying to type
Okay,
this.
thank you.
Yeah, so that's the first one that does all natural elements. The second screen looks very similar, but it is, oh, it's not that one. Again, this will be an email, so don't read too much in this right now. The other one is for all of man-made elements. So where water wells are, if there's like fossil fuel storage, again, not that all of those would pertain to a good solar site, but it's documentation of any man-made features that we would potentially be interested in seeing where they're at. So it's bigger than just the solar farm placing. It's if we want to know how many bulk fossil fuel storage locations are in the town, which You'd think none, but in that category are any farms that have large fuel tanks on their properties. So,
Define large.
yeah, I don't know what the gallon amount is.
Companies won't let us have over 500 gallons.
500 gallons.
That's it.
Gotcha. So all of those things are available as layers on these maps. The thing that the GIS class would get more into is more details on the actual like scales of some of these features. So these maps will just list like, here's a location of, again, I'll use the fuel tanks of, fossil fuel petroleum tank. It won't tell you the size or what the fuel is. And like, for example, on the natural elements map, it'll say like this region could possibly have an endangered bat species. It won't give details on like when it was last sighted or actually if they're actually, living or, breeding there or anything. But the actual GIS class, which charges a license fee, has that more detailed information. But this is a stopgap in the meantime, just to put kind of a list of criteria together that we would like to get more details on.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So it's, once you get into it, it's pretty intuitive. You just select all the criteria on the left. And then you use a pen tool to create your boundary on the map. And it'll spit out what's included and not included. So those will be in an email. I'll send it the next one.
Thank you. So I guess I'm thinking that it's a way to move forward. Say the ESF class did do something in the spring. So as not to duplicate things, would it make sense to between now, I mean, it's already September, between now and say the end of the year, come up with something like not a curriculum, but something that we'd want them to like more define rather than just saying, can you do something for us?
Right.
What we actually would like to see, come up with some kind of criteria that we're looking for.
Yeah, having kind of a punch list of,
right.
These are the features that we think are most important or could influence decisions. Please include these in your mapping.
Right,
We
yeah.
can define that by just kind of exploring this mapping.
Exactly, and then we could kind of look at what deliverable we'd like to see or whatever too. So this is the input. What we want you to consider, this is what we hope to get out as a deliverable.
So we can develop an informed request versus.
Right, so yeah. So
And actually, this wouldn't be a bad format for other towns and other people who are struggling with the same things that we have.
Right.
Does anybody want to volunteer to kind of shepherd this, to spearhead this? I mean, I want Adam to do them all. Adam's a good resource to do it.
It's pretty intuitive. So if anyone's nervous about like not understanding how to use it, it's literally like, do you want to know streams? Click them on and off. Do you want to know where wells are drilled? Click that on and off. Like the drop downs on the left are not complex.
And we actually have a number of things to volunteer for, so don't feel bad if you don't answer this one, because I'm going to ask you for the next one and the next one and the next one. So why don't we put that as a placeholder volunteer, and then we'll circle back at the very
I'll
end.
send the links out and everyone can play with it and see if they feel.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The person volunteering would take the lead on just trying to coordinate what criteria
Right, that-
everyone wants to look at.
Right, that's what I'm
What we
thinking of.
wanna-
Right, just somebody to assemble things, to put into, writing basically with everybody's help.
Right. And like if you use the town, when you zoom in, the town of Pompey boundary will come up. So outline the town of Pompey. And if it says like, there are no endangered species of animals or whatever in your town, then we can say, all right, we're not going to ask for endangered species to be designated from the GIS class. So basically going through and seeing what attributes would be relevant for us.
I mean, I can do that as long as I don't need to be the expert.
No, that would be great, and then we'll all help. I mean, I don't think it's one thing where one person's gonna.
It's just someone.
Right,
leading
take the
the
correction.
kid out
Right.
and everything.
Exactly, to kind of keep things moving, because I
Keep a
found.
running list that everyone will be contributing.
Exactly, because if one person doesn't take the lead, a lot of times things
It
just,
doesn't happen.
when we're all in charge, nobody's in charge.
Right.
Okay, great, thanks, Pam.
What's GIS stand for?
Geographic Information Services.
Information services.
Yeah.
I think is it systems?
Systems,
Yeah.
systems. Thank you.
Yeah, and like you said, some of the things, to topography, like the slopes and stuff like that, which you can get, I think, from GIS too, and. I'm not sure you can do view shed, although there's probably scenic corridors and things that are probably listed on there.
The only thing is that I know of is aspect, which just means what direction is the slope facing.
Oh,
It
okay,
doesn't tell you what it's looking at,
yeah,
which will be
Doesn't
more.
tell you the elevation change either.
It does elevation change,
Okay.
but it won't say like this point overlooks a body of water. Like it doesn't.
At this point,
Right,
over
yeah,
housing.
yeah.
Everybody has a little different
And
Yeah.
definition of view shed too.
right, and probably population. Clusters would be important too, because. As we see, one house in the midst of this can derail a solar project, so. Want to make sure that we look at that too. It might be tough to put anything out here, but hey, we'll look, right, we'll see what's out there.
So there are a couple of things that had come to my mind. So like, as far as, available online resources like stream stats, so we can, it's easy to define watersheds for any point.
Mhm.
So that's important that we want to pull in here. I talked to someone at regional planning. Who just did a view shed analysis for the town of Lafayette. And it's fairly basic, but we might be able to get some help with that if we come up with some spots. Because view shed was something that came up with the
Definitely, yeah,
backs and
yeah,
forths. I had offered to talk to Chris Carrick. I ran into him in Wegmans and he's like, oh yeah, sure. It's summer. I couldn't make myself go down there.
yeah,
So, but I will. And,
yeah,
I think he would be a good resource in terms of, some of the criteria that we wouldn't want to pull into this.
okay, good.
He's the, he's the energy guy for the region. So.
In regional planning, is that Onondaga regional planning?
No, it's Central New York Regional
Oh, okay.
Planning, so it's a much larger area. It's 5 counties, but.
So he's seen a lot of proposals that have been tried to pass and not pass, so he knows what people are looking at.
Yeah, and he also, he understands a lot of the siting, the permitting requirements and what the developers are looking for too. So that would be
Right, yeah.
something that would come in. But then we'd run into that whole issue. How much do we want to pump into this under the current administration?
Right.
Not much, as far as I'm concerned,
Right.
because it doesn't look good,
Yeah.
but
Well, that's why I think we'll just get a framework and then, get some criteria, what we're looking for deliverables. And then actually probably the spring semester will work out good in the sense that, come the fall, November, December, we can find out from the new administration what they're looking for. And if they say no solar at all, then we might as well just stop.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what they're running on, I think, so.
right. So if I could just. So you're gonna email out the links and we're gonna take a look at that and try to come up with some different criteria. We send them to you, Pam.
Or I'll send an email reminding you to send them to me.
Yeah.
You figured this out.
Yeah. Right.
I usually tell people I respond well to nagging. And because I know I need it. So yeah, nag away. It's fun.
I think that'll work out good, Jess. It's kind of just get something, an outline, kind of a roadmap now, and then depending on
What happens?
what happens in November, then we can figure out how to proceed. It may be we continue, or maybe we start on something else. Who knows? So, okay, great. The next one's similar in the sense that Renee asked us to look at those too, and that's the natural resources inventory. And we talked about this one too in the spring. And I forgot exactly what we were proposing in this one. Do you remember, Kathy?
I don't think we that was where we sort of hit the wall. Yeah. Was what are we?
How can I go ahead?
What is, how far do we want to go? What would make sense?
Right, yeah. Yeah,
We never really
finalize on what,
went into any further on that.
Yeah,
Do we know what we're looking for in the natural resources?
It could be as basic or as complex and involved as we want it to be. You know, we could do it like on the cheap and do it, you know, quick and dirty, or we could hire a consultant. I mean, that's just it.
What resources are we looking for?
You know, a lot of it has to do with what is of interest to the
Are we
town.
talking about water?
Well, water would certainly be there, and, you know, like, you know,
I think they wanted,
continuous
Timber?
yeah, it sounded like they wanted just an updated, I'll say punch list of what's our percentage of land cover distribution, forest, agriculture, you know, developed land.
That makes sense.
I know we have some special ecological areas like,
Is there a page of that in the master plan?
I was gonna say, in the master plan,
Sounds
there
like-
should be some.
How'd they call it? What'd they call it?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think you're right. I think there's something in the master plan. Yeah.
starting there and just running the same data sets through something like the mappers, which all of that would be on there, just to make
Would
them.
that give you, can you get percentages off a mapper, like say
Yeah.
forest cover? Oh, you can.
You can.
Yeah. So other than just the visual like map that's created for specific locations of things, there'll be options like to export a report, and it'll either be a PDF or an Excel file. That'll say like, this area is 47% forest cover versus, you know,
Yeah,
so,
Okay.
yeah. That's the quickest way to start to get some numbers or deliverables.
Mhm.
And as far as creating or choosing what data sets to look at, maybe going back to the master plan and seeing what has already been calculated out or measured, and just updating those data sets so it's current.
that's the easiest thing to do. I'm not sure that's what, when in talking with Renee, it seemed like she has something more in mind. I think this is the way to start it, because it's just too much.
yeah. Well, especially for the limitations of our group, like you say, the master plan, I'm sure there was a consultant or somebody probably was involved in doing some of that. But maybe that's the way to start now is again, take a look at the master plan and look at some of those natural resources that are listed in there and see what needs to be updated. I shouldn't say see what needs to be updated, but see what could be updated.
Well, it's changed some.
Right.
Something has been removed or added to.
Right, yeah,
Page.
yeah.
What year was the master plan last updated? Oh,
I'm gonna say 2008, 9 in that area.
long enough,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's just a guess.
more than 10 years. Yeah,
I can get to.
well, things change.
Oh, it was about this thick, so
Yeah.
It was
you read the whole thing?
2013.
I fell asleep at some
So
point.
10 years ago, so it's probably due for an update.
It's, yeah.
So would anybody want to take the lead on that one? Volunteer to take a look at the master plan and Pam, you're off the hook.
It's like, let's make you feel. What? No.
Bring you over cards, then you can switch the cards around.
Yeah, I'd be happy to start digging through the master plan and just coming up with some good places to
Okay.
start, things that, you know, we can do relatively easily and that
Yeah.
makes sense. And,
Okay,
um,
yeah, just kind of, I was thinking, take a look at, yeah, what resources are in there and, you know, which I imagine most everything's in there, but it could be, you know, like we were saying, Adam saying, percentage of forest cover, percentage of farm cover, percentage of farm cover, ag lands, you know, whatever.
Versus residential.
Where is it? Right,
Yeah,
right.
because it's gonna
right.
be, and,
Something's changed for sure.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
yeah. So that would be interesting. Yeah, so then at least somebody have a start on what's there and then we can see how easy it is to update that and we can always talk to Renee and see if this is, you know, something she wants or wants for more than that.
or even we get this started and,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
What we could start.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Good. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? Either one of us? We're right along then. Short-term rentals. I put this on here because I noticed the town's still talking about short-term rentals. I don't think they've gotten real far with it as far as I know, but I'm not sure.
So the draft. So I'll call it draft law, but a draft proposal, draft update, is with legal now.
Oh, okay.
Because we've gone through the whole draft preparation meetings and we started with precedent research on what other towns are, how they're addressing or structuring controls on short-term rentals. And just as an update, that's the Airbnb or kind of definition. It's the Airbnb type of stuff. Less than 29 days is considered a short-term rental. And it can cover anything from a whole house to the couch in your living room to people are renting out the pool in their backyard for 1 or 2 hour blocks of time for people to come rent that kind of stuff. Yeah, so the language had to be specific but generic enough to be able to be defined, but also include all of these sort of odd types of short-term rentals. There are somewhere between 7 and 11 current short-term rentals in the town of Pompey. Some of them are very formally listed on like Airbnb as a place for people to rent.
How many did you say?
Somewhere between 7 and 11 of them. So not a huge amount. But there are also ones that are just more of word of mouth. People around know that so-and-so has a place that's, available. So if you know somebody, let them know, kind of a thing.
They're not if you're talking about renting out your pool, they're not rolling into event places.
What do you mean?
They do weddings. It's a short-term rental.
No, this is,
Okay.
these are private residences.
A private rental. Okay.
Advertised to bring in rental income.
Okay.
So it's not any long-term rental.
I'm just a
It's
little.
not a business.
Yeah, but not businesses or private.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just getting a little nervous when somebody says renting out their pool.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey,
No. Right. Someone who doesn't have a business entity
Okay.
is renting out their property.
Good.
Some of the other, I guess, general structure to it is there will be like a permit or license to have a short-term rental. I think it was going to last 2 years. It was going to only be $15 or $20. It wasn't meant to be a financial gain for the town. It's just more to know
Who's doing what where?
Yes, exactly. It would come with a list of suggested conduct standards for the guests. So like quiet hours, how they're dealing with trash, removal. And one of the other things that was kind of tedious to hash out was how do we put limits on like crowd size at these places? And we just resorted back to the fire code, which is you're allowed 2 people per bedroom plus 2. So what that means is that if there's like a 2-bedroom house, you can have 4 guests plus 2 more.
Oh.
And that accounts for like a pull-out couch, sleeper couch kind of situation. So if it's a 3-bedroom house, that's 6 people plus 2. It's always number of bedrooms, 2 people plus 2. Off-street parking is required, so you can't, for the number of people that are accounted for in your space. Yeah, those are the major points, I guess. The last thing that didn't really get, I guess was still a pretty big gray area was, does the town want to limit the number of permits allowed at any given time? Right now, the math was like it's 2% of the current residential population is accounted for in short-term rentals. Again, specific numbers, I'm not remembering. It's a very low percentage.
Yeah.
And I think the group settled on like capping it at the number of permits for like 3% of the town population. So keeping it obviously very low.
Yeah.
But also using a percentage as your unit allows it to grow with the town versus putting an arbitrary like 10 permits only kind of, there's limit on it.
Was there any limit on the number of days, like minimum number of days or?
20, like for the rental,
Yeah.
29 days is considered the longest time to be a short-term rental. At 30 days, it's considered a long-term rental.
I was wondering though, like, is there like, can people rent for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days?
Yep.
Okay.
There's no minimum.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah.
wondering, Yeah. Because some towns I think have enacted minimums.
Yeah. Yeah, to prevent turnover.
Yeah.
No, there was no minimum. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, it looks like there's progressing. Yeah, than I thought. That's good.
This is a committee through, who was?
Renee asked for like a representative from each town committee. So like there was a planning board person, an ECC person, and I think it was a total of 7 people, I think. But also participation was. So yeah, I'm sure there was everyone there all at once at one time, but right now the draft language is with legal to make sure there's nothing that's unsupportable.
Well, look, we got a lot done early. So
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah.
So then what happens when you get the legal approval? Then it doesn't have to go like it.
I don't know if it goes to I don't know if it goes to the accountant board or the planning board, and they vote on whether to adopt the language.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's a public hearing for it or if it, how that gets advertised or whatever, I'm not sure.
Good. Okay, great. Yeah, thanks, Adam.
Yeah.
Moving on to some of the project updates. I know Adam, Kathy, and myself are supposed to be working on the webpage. I haven't done anything. We'll keep that on the list.
You can keep your job.
Yeah. Keep my job, you sure?
I'm not doing it.
Earth Day. It seems a little early for Earth Day, but I was just thinking, again, maybe a volunteer for this one too. Maybe it's a little bit early for a volunteer, but you know, looking at 2024, I'm assuming we're going to do it next year. And again, that's something we'll have to check with whoever the new supervisor is, whether we're going to do Earth Day and if it's going to be as extensive as we had it this year. Hopefully we won't.
God, I hope so. It was really nice
I know
this
it
year.
was a nice.
Yeah, I've never heard any negatives on it.
Yeah, so I would assume so, but
Controversial or
it's
not expensive.
Yeah. So, you know, one of the things we have to look at then is the trees and the tree costs, because
Did you get fully reimbursed?
I haven't been yet, but I'm not, then again, I wasn't necessarily Johnny on the spot with the bill either. I've had a few interferences, but I did bring it up to Renee, I don't know when. Sometime end of July. Sometime like
well,
that.
the bottom line is the town can't pay for it. It all has to be
Yeah,
volunteers.
yeah.
So, you know,
It's not breaking the bank, let's put it this way. I said, I don't care, get close enough, I'll take 2 shares, I don't care.
so
But
I guess that's what I was saying for next year. I don't know if we want to continue with that same nursery or we want to go back to the Saratoga nursery, because that Saratoga is about half as much. And, you know, I think Renee said the last email I saw, we're still about $100 short. So and she's not gonna be there next year, along with asking for people for donations, and I don't know how the new person will be. So I guess what I'm saying is I think our contributions will probably be double next year, or could be double, based on she had like 4 or 5 people, I think, donating from, you know, that she solicited. So it'll be just amongst us. So that's a consideration if we want
How
to.
much did we spend this year?
I think they're 500. Yeah.
for and then trucking, but that was nominal because Julie Liebman picked them up for us.
Yeah. So yeah, roughly 500. The other one
$20 for gas.
for the Saratoga about 250.
It's the way the tree business works. It's weird.
You know, so it's something to think about, I guess. Do we, you know, because if we do the Saratoga, we ought to order them like the first week in January. They sell out. So that's the only reason I'm bringing it up now, to something to think about. I don't mind doing it. You know,
I don't care.
But it probably will be a larger, you know, asking for more volunteers, probably be a little bit more next year, I'm assuming. So that's kind of what I wanted to throw it out
We'll
there.
still chip in. The problem this year was delivery date.
Right.
If Saratoga pulls that crap again in
Well,
another year,
Yeah, they can't predict what,
they can't predict,
you know.
but some professional nurseries can.
Right, so that's the difference. So,
Yeah.
right. But
Yeah.
you're paying double for that.
Yeah, you're paying for the guarantee.
Right, you're paying quite much.
Quality,
Weren't they nice?
so much nicer than Saratoga.
Nice trees. It's why Christmas tree growers don't order from Saratoga.
Now, I don't know how they grew when people planted them.
Yeah, and they went home and sat in people's garages and.
Well,
No, right.
Once the baby leaves the bassinet, we have nothing to do with it.
I'm just saying, I don't know whether they recognize the value of a tree that costs $2 of the tree versus costs $1. That's all I'm saying, you know, so. Anyhow, I think it's something to think about. I think we'll bring it up again, you know, the next time or whatever, because at some point we'll need to make a decision. And if anybody wants to volunteer to manage that process, the Earth Day. Put your name down.
If it's just for the trees, I can get, I can do that. because I mean, that's my wheelhouse.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we'll first have to decide where we want to get them, I guess.
But, well,
And
I'll put my name in the hat for contributing more to get the higher quality.
me too, me too.
yeah, okay.
And
It just makes a better impression.
yeah, on
I
that
see.
note, I'll
We
put,
can also, sorry.
No, go
we can
ahead.
Also head up the board and we
Well,
can still hit up other people too.
yeah, not only town committee and board members, but this is far enough in advance that we could even exchange, again, I'll have to see if this is allowed or not. Local businesses, if they want to contribute $50 or so,
You know, we talked about that. What was the issue with that?
We can, and then actually Renee said that we could have corporate sponsors to do that.
Yeah.
So
That's a good idea right there.
I mean, it's a good idea. Somebody's got to manage that too.
Right.
I personally, I don't like going around asking people for money. So I'd rather just give.
I think I
$50
might
there.
see it as
But if somebody wants to do that,
revenge. They come around and ask me all the time.
yeah, right. But I mean, if somebody wants to do that, as far as like, or doing the tree and then asking corporate sponsors, great. I mean, that's,
Would you want it limited to Pompey businesses or do you want to go for other
like,
peoples
people.
outside?
Well, imagine money's money. We can get
Yeah, I mean,
$100 or whatever from,
I mean, I would think
You know.
you'd probably, right, I would think you'd probably keep it Pompey only because the trees have to be, I don't want to say they have to be planted in Pompey, but it's for Pompey residents.
It's for Pompey residents.
I assume they're gonna be planted in Pompey, so I don't know if say. Wegmans would want to donate to something in Pompey, maybe they would, but
whoever did, obviously throwing them a bone in return of, their business name will be listed as.
right.
So, and I don't, again, I'm in your vote of, yeah, people do come around to the local businesses for
Oh, my God.
donations.
It's brutal.
But I think it's different asking for $50 towards something for the whole town.
Yeah,
Versus an organization coming to ask for funds for their private or very small
Mhm.
group that they service versus a townwide situation. Right.
Yeah, and I think the businesses in Pompey at least can see that it's going towards Pompey.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus going someplace else, it's like, it's supporting the community and stuff, so.
Yeah.
But in order to avoid the confusion from last year with the trees, and so it's not, September of 2025 and somebody's still waiting to be reimbursed.
Half of that is my fault.
Well, it doesn't matter. We should have a date and we should have a maximum number that we're looking for, and then we should have commitments. If we're going to go out and solicit,
Yes.
we should have a date that we get that commitment, and we have the money in hand.
It should be done beforehand versus
Yeah,
after. that.
yeah, I mean, we just can't.
Yeah.
I mean, that just looks bad all around.
Right,
And it's awkward.
Yeah,
So-
no, I agree, yeah.
So if we ordered, say we went to the private
Into
nursery,
Medivh, yeah.
when would the order need to be placed?
Do it now.
Well, that's too soon.
What's the latest we could safely do it?
Well, we safely did it at the last freaking minute last year. Which was, I believe, February. Yeah, I was in Florida. I ordered them from Florida.
Yeah.
I saw what your email had said. I said, those guys froze.
Would February 1st be feasible, or is that still tight?
I have no idea what the supply is gonna be.
Okay.
Why don't I ask him?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, because if it's early, then, what is this, September now? It'll be
Yeah.
November. We need to.
Start now.
Yeah. And we're probably still just talking 500 trees, right? Isn't that what we went through?
500 is a nice
Yeah,
cap.
I wouldn't change that.
Yeah,
Get your butts over here, you bunch of trees.
Right.
yeah, I think we ran out of.
There's a little bit of urgency added when they realize that you might run out. It's not like, maybe I'll go. Right, got left over. I don't want to do that. I want them to think, if I want my trees, I should get there.
Okay, so we'll need a volunteer, if anybody wants to volunteer now, or if we want to think about it. For somebody to collect donations, I guess, right?
I probably could.
Want to do that? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm feeling you're very effective at that point.
Yeah. Just by looking at it. Okay, great.
Well, I get asked enough and I have a hard enough time turning the ones
Well, you
I do down.
probably know the businesses too, the local businesses.
I'll find them.
Well,
them down.
I mean, there's not like there's 1,000 in Pompey, there's.
No, you drive down Route 20 and hit everybody with an open side in the window.
Yeah. There you go, yeah.
And then you start worrying about the outliers.
Yeah, okay. Really, if you just, you know, they only need 10 people for, for 500, so I might.
And if somebody doesn't feel like they can give 50 and they can only want to give 20, I'll take it.
Right, we'll still put the name on this.
You know?
So if you need help with the shaking them down, let me know.
I can shake down a few. We'll see what happens.
All right.
I just got to get to whatever it costs us for 500 trees.
Right,
And I'm going to ask Meadowview what it's going to cost.
yeah,
Because I can get their current price list going in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that would be good to know.
okay, good.
Also what kind of trees?
We're going with Norway spruce.
Okay.
If they have white spruce, that would be okay. But Norways are like a fail-safe. I mean,
It's pretty good.
well, they're native. They don't have any disease problems. They want to be a decent looking tree. They're a horrible indoor tree, but outside they're perfectly happy.
Okay.
And blue spruce have a disease problem going around. We don't want them. We do not want them. And firs are candy on a stick for deer. So I want them to be successful. Pines grow so fast and get so leggy that after 10 years, 7 years in the bottom, you're looking right through them anyway. And, it's just a nice thought, but they're also a weak tree in a storm. Branches on your house, plotting your driveway. The Norways are pretty much foolproof. That's why they put them in Rockefeller Center. As long as they don't bundle an owl up with it, you're all good.
That's a great story, though.
What's that mom dad? I was laughing.
Good. All right, well then, and then we'll talk about that more next. We'll see how.
I'll call Meadowview and see what's up.
And then
And
we can talk more about.
I like the fact that they're an in-state nursery.
Yeah.
I'm not getting them from Wisconsin,
Right,
things like that. So,
Yeah, okay.
I mean, they're not perfect, but they are available.
And then we can talk more about the actual Earth Day, other things. Yeah, I think we're early on that. We have
Oh,
time.
please, yes.
Yeah.
I'll be willing to lead on that part.
Okay,
Again,
great.
Martha, I can help you too, whatever.
great.
I guess you can do, absolutely.
I think this would be a good reason to leave Florida. I called for her. Not so hot. I think my brain's dead.
Great.
I would like to get a banner or something. We were thinking from this year, it worked so well to bring it in here.
Don't we have an Earth Day banner? Don't we have an Environmental Conservation Commission banner? Seems like the first year we had one outside.
Well, no offense, but my daughter-in-law, if you tell her what you want on it, she's really good at coming up with a banner. And not that expensive. I don't know who she uses. I just say, Allie, I need a banner. What do you want her to say? And then she shows me a picture and I think, can the pancakes be like from the side so it doesn't look like somebody barfed right there? And the next thing you know, she turns them sideways and it looks like a stack of pancakes. And I know she does this. But she's really good at it. I volunteer her often. Other organizations too. I'll have Allie do it.
Maybe if we get extra donations, we could buy a banner.
I can have her look up what a banner would cost.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yep.
Banner.
Well,
Yep.
banners are nice.
But
But safety first. Was from what I heard, the only negative thing that I heard was coming in.
right.
With traffic and having some signage to direct people in
Yeah.
and where the parking is. And that might be something that the highway department might,
Yeah.
or the
right.
town, it's just that's something I think.
Did they just town of sandwich boards they can put out?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They were blowing over because it was so busy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I stood out there the whole time and held the sign
Oh, God.
and also waved
Oh,
people.
was that on a sandwich?
It was on a sandwich board that wanted to walk across. It
Wow.
was so windy. And just waving people just drive in.
Yeah.
Look around because it's usually outside.
Right.
Don't know where the trees are, don't know where anything is. Stick your head out the window
Yeah.
because I'm standing out there and they said, where do I go?
Yeah.
So some signs and some.
Maybe we get the Boy
traffic
Scouts
patterns.
to help to that.
I tried to get them to come this year and I had a tough time.
They did show up with 2 gallons of milk with about 30, chocolate milk, about 30 minutes left.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did.
What are they gonna do with the milk?
They wanted to stand out cups of chocolate.
Oh, well, that's nice, I guess.
I'm like, I don't know how many more people are coming, but.
I wanted to do a can drive. I couldn't get down to commit though, like, I wanted to do a can drive so people could bring their cans and stuff like that. But
I think I'm pretty lucky to got to come fix our skid steer today, so.
Yeah, I know.
She's a little scattered.
So anyhow, but that's, well, we could try them again next year, there was a bunch of organizations we tried that just didn't pan out, so.
Yeah.
But maybe by seeing how successful it was this year, they might want to come next year, because I try to get the upper prom committee or somebody like that. They might want to sell donuts in the morning, although we had the food truck, but anyhow, could be other groups that want to come and sell.
That was a really
whatever
good
stuff
food
they
truck. I
sell
really
too.
got that one back.
Not sell,
10 points.
but
Let's do it
they
again.
sell and then they get proceeds for their proms and
Yeah.
band trips and stuff like that.
And because it's hard to advertise in this town, because we don't have, all the things that make things easy for all the residents to hear about something, it would be nice to also have some kind of flag or banner just out at the driveway. Just for, for the people that are driving by and haven't heard about it.
Do we have a date for Earth Day?
No, we have,
Again,
this year we did it on Earth Day.
yeah,
Doing it on Earth Day is really good.
we kind of had to wait, I think, to see what.
What man-
Yeah, we talked about man-made, yeah.
We were trying to be.
They did,
opposite of
they
that.
did, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is gonna be,
yeah.
later next year. We're doing it weeks after, weeks,
Are they?
and it's gonna be bigger. Bigger than ever.
Okay, well, we got some good initial thoughts already so, yeah, thanks Martha and John for volunteering to oversee it, and Polly for getting the donations. That'll be helpful. I think that'll make things a lot easier for next year. Getting to jump on these things rather than waiting to the last minute to do things. I think this will be better. Like we plan things early.
If they want to give me a check, who do I have to make it out to?
That's a good question.
That's what we were talking about, yeah, how do you, right, that's what we talked about last time with.
Yeah, because we don't have treasury.
Right.
No, but if you give it to the town of Pompey, I'm not sure.
I think because it was organically funded, it's gonna have to be if someone's holding on to it. And
Yeah, yeah.
it's just keeping track of either check numbers or when, a donation was deposited.
Because they'll want it as a business right up. So maybe it could be you/ECC or something like that, just so they have something traceable for their records that it's for the Environmental Conservation Commission.
And again, not to be a stickler, but I think it should be you. You're the chair, and it should be made out to the chair of the ECC.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
mean, that just keep it,
Yeah. That's fine. Then I can collect them all and I'll just keep a record of all of them and,
Sure.
yeah.
And then I can say you make it out to somebody else other than me. I look better. I look better. It's like I'm hitting them up.
Thanks, have a nice day.
Official.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I'll see you in a couple weeks.
I did. It looks much better.
Enjoy your tree.
$5,000 for these trees?
Yes, we do.
Good trees.
All right, yeah, no, that was a good question,
Yeah.
All right, the next one, unless anybody has anything else on Earth Day or trees. Next topic I was gonna just mention was seasonal contest, pollinator contest results. Well, we didn't quite have the same response as we did with the snowman. We had 2 people sending pictures.
Did they both get prizes?
No, it's just a winner on Facebook.
One winner and
One winner and only. Would you say?
There's one winner and one loser.
You put it like that.
I don't know.
It wasn't very well. I mean, I put up some posters, I think at the Pompey Mall and the Dollar General, but
I had poster up all through every one of our pancake breakfasts right there with all the pancake stuff.
and I put it on I put on the previous Pompey website, I put it on a couple different websites, and it just didn't, I think Yeah, there's only 2 submissions. One of them had to be my daughter.
I was gonna ask.
Did she win? She win.
Yeah.
Yay!
Luckily,
That wasn't right.
luckily, it's based on likes on Facebook, so I have nothing to do with it. But and the other one was the bees.
The winning photo got 28 likes and the not winning.
It's like second place.
Got 16.
Yeah, and so a lot of
It's like that. It was really wild.
But I'm surprised that people didn't even vote.
I don't know if it was just summer, people.
I don't know, yeah, and maybe the pollinator was a little too hard for people to figure out what to do, although, you know, it was. Again, maybe this year, maybe another year, they'll see what was done this year and then they'll say, oh, that's an idea. I don't really plant a whole big, you know, arboretum type of thing. I can just plant a couple of flowers and that'll be enough. I don't know.
The other thing too, I think we had an issue with the schools, right? By the time we were ready to go,
Yeah.
school was over and we couldn't really publicize it.
Yeah, I didn't go out in the newsletter.
I did try to contact the school because I thought that at least could talk about it in one of the science classes for like the middle school or like for the younger kids, just tell them and, you know, send them something, a flyer home. They didn't respond to me. I have the toughest time getting people to school to respond to me. I don't know why.
It's under.
I know. I think it is. I think it is. I'm getting a little complex here. Anyhow, so be that as it may. So that leads, do we want to do a fall contest or that? I mean, originally we talked about something, a fall theme, like maybe pumpkin carving or scarecrow or something. I'm a little gun shy, but
I think the pumpkin carving one would be popular enough. People are carving pumpkins anyway. If we schedule stuff out right around Halloween, it's a very small lift for people to take the picture and, you know, email it in. It's not a ton of planning otherwise.
yeah.
When I saw that on the agenda, I just was working backwards on a very rough timeline of if Halloween is on the 31st, submission week to submit your photos would be October 23rd to the 31st. And then voting can take place from the November 1st for a week after that.
Yeah.
That way people are carving their pumpkins anyway for Halloween.
Take a picture.
Send it in. The week after, people are still.
You have a decent poster, I'll stick it on my doors.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll put a post together.
You put a post in? Okay, great.
Right.
And I'll send it to Veronica too, so it goes on the website. So that leaves, if I make a post within a week, it would be 5 weeks of
I
advertisement.
think that would be good. Yeah.
Enough time to do it, but also not long enough that people lose track.
Forget
We
about
also
it.
should probably make sure we put them on places like Wheeler Coffees and others where they actually buy their pumpkin.
Yeah.
That's better than the post office and whatever.
Well, you can try that, but you know, people that buy pumpkins, you give them an idea what to do with them.
Right.
Down here
That's-
in the entrance. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Case maybe, so, yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
Matter of fact, probably for the pollinator
Yeah,
contest.
definitely.
Because
Some of the vegetable stands, things like that.
Yeah.
You know, things that get frequented by
I'm looking at it just.
other than just going to get their cats.
I'll be, I tried to.
Once I make a flyer, I'll email it out. and people
Into it.
Put it everywhere.
I mean, that's, they're outside.
How much is gonna be perfect.
That's a good idea.
We'll give it another go, see if people are more.
I must want you
You're started.
you that down about posting it in schools, like,
Yeah, just the wife got right back to us, which is weird. A friend of mine works for the superintendent at FB.
oh, okay, good.
I can get in touch with her and say, she'll be able to navigate how to get that into people's hands.
Perfect. Now I got a contact, yeah.
Community, whatever it is, so.
Yeah.
She'll make it happen, so.
Okay, great. That's perfect.
So when I get the flyer from Adam, I'll send it to Jean and then she'll.
Yeah, they can either make
figure
copies
out.
or post it or whatever.
Yeah, put it in there, whatever the.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, because I do think it'd be a good one, especially for, you know, little kids that, you know.
Great for elementary.
Oh, it's
Right,
a
right.
kid, it's a
'Cause they do it
family
anyway,
thing,
like you
it's
say,
what they do.
Yeah, right. You know, it's kind of like the snowman, it shows her something to do and whatever.
Something can be real creative, so it'd be kind of cool to see that.
It will be, yeah, yeah. So, okay, good. I'm glad you guys are up for it. That's good.
Just on the thought of the back end of the prize, whoever comes in first place and the gift card, I have no problem grabbing it. Again, the $20 or $25 is fine. But do we want to make a list or a schedule, or I guess a pool of places where we could have gift cards come from? So they're not always coming from the same place.
Right, from Heritage Hill, yeah, right, because I did mine from Heritage Hill too, yeah.
And I was thinking like, I mean, Hilltop or like, are there other places and that you guys?
That's within town.
Well, I think it's a good idea to be Pompey, you know, because again, it's the town of Pompey, it's our community.
Hilltop would be good, but then don't they close for the season?
Right, that's really not a fall prize, but maybe
Yeah.
a spring.
If they're gonna win it in November, I could give them a wreath. Because you're moving into the next season, they're not gonna,
Right.
they're not gonna wanna carve and they're not gonna want more pumpkins.
Right.
Right, yeah.
But I am moving into Christmas and I'm still open. It could be a good certificate at the shop or a wreath or whatever.
Is there something you'd be willing to have as a prize that might be a little more kid oriented?
Have you been in my gift shop?
I have. Yeah, I have.
If we just do a generic gift certificate, they can just spend it there. I don't give a damn how they spend
We'll
it.
do 20% to the spring stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care how they spend it.
And on that note, for spring competition, I paid $20 at our nursery for whatever they want to pick out a flower they like or whatever. Okay.
Yes. Perfect. No, good. Okay, yeah, well, that was, I don't know what time is it?
That was painless.
Yeah, one. Boy, talk about good things. That was all I had on the agenda. Open discussion. Anything else or anything more?
What are the hours? Paulie's gift shop.
Weekends, 1 to 5 on Fridays and 9 to 5 on Saturdays. Starting next weekend and not Friday. Starting Saturday next weekend.
Not this weekend.
Please, God, no.
All right, well, if there's no open discussion, nobody has anything else. Our next meeting is October 5th, 7 o'clock. So I think we got a lot of stuff going from this one. We'll follow up on pretty much probably all these items. 10-7, yeah. No, 10-5. That's 7. Yeah.
Boy, I'm telling you, it's getting difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, the agenda will probably be similar, and then we'll just follow up a lot of these things and see how we, which I think would be good, because unless there's something new comes in that we have to look at, but otherwise we'll follow up on all these. Great, and Polly, you'll be as recording secretary next time?
Yep.
Excellent.
I'll only be half insane.
It's 3 left, we'll leave those for Stan.
That's all I like. There, help with that. Hey, Stan? Yeah. It's what happens when.
That's what everything you want to throw out.
I was nothing that.
Right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's vicious.
That was
It is, man.
It was so good.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to find somebody who could know just new acres.